I realized that I never shot a part two for this story. Part two. So after we've sat through this presentation, and I'm talking about when I say like they used nothing but stereotypes about Black people this entire presentation and no one was saying a word, I didn't even know what to do. My face was just contorted the entire like 15-minute presentation. One of the section of the presentation was to talk about food, and when they were talking about food, they literally picked, like, I shit you not, watermelon, collard greens, and fried chicken. And it would have been one thing if they framed it like, oh, you know, what do Black people find themselves eating like on special occasions like Thanksgiving and Christmas? Then that would have been like a more acceptable answer because, yes, that's what a lot of us do eat if you are African American, right? Fried chicken, collard greens, ham, yams, you know, beans, greens, tomatoes, potatoes, you know, you get what I'm saying. But they were saying that that's a part of all of our daily diets, our regular, everyday diets. The whole presentation was bad, but the worst part for me really was when they were talking about church and how religion was not important to the Black community. And that point, I was just like, there are literally so many comedic, like, I'm talking about sets dedicated to Black church. Like, there are running jokes about Black church and how long Black people are sitting in church and spending in church every single Sunday. Like, you don't even have to be, like, you don't have to be a scholar or do a whole bunch of research to know that that doesn't make any sense. But it was very clear that accuracy was not important to them. And so when they finished their presentation and it came time for questions, I didn't even wait to get called, and I just stood up. And I asked, I said, did you guys even try? Did you guys even try? You guys had 3 other people in this classroom that you could have talked to outside of this other person. Why didn't you come talk to us and ask us about our experiences? The girl that they went to go talk to, she grew up on the South, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. It was either South or the West Side. Either way, she grew up in a predominantly Black sector of Chicago, whereas I grew up in the northern suburbs of Chicago. 2 very completely different existences. There was diversity amongst the Black women in this class is what I'm trying to get at. You had people who grew up, again, in environments where, you know, they were in a lower SES, and you had me who was a part of an upper SES. You know, I think one of the other girls, she was gay. They could have even talked to her about, you know, being gay and what that looks like in the Black community. They had so many options and opted out of doing their due diligence in order to make sure that their presentation was done well. They picked the only Black person in class that they had the closest proximity to because she was in, again, a lot of these white-led, you know, speech and language RSOs. And if I learned anything in that class, it's the fact that there are going to be so many SLPs that are culturally incompetent teaching our kids. And that fucking sucks.